Hello, Dallas Summer Institute. I'm Maryellen Bunton, and I'm a district director from Illinois, and I'm really happy to be here with you today. My dad was my very first example of grit, perseverance, and possibility. His childhood experiences and the lessons learned from them likely set the course for who I have become and what I love to do. He taught me that no matter the circumstances, if you were able to imagine a different possibility, believe in a new possibility, then you could turn that possibility into reality. He was the second youngest of 7 children born to parents that both suffered from alcoholism. At one point, family stories indicate that they may have lived in an unused trailer or some kind of abandoned housing. As I tell you a bit more about my dad, I wonder how many of you have either shared similar experiences or know students that have lived a life similar to his. By the age of 7, teachers immediately wrote him off because he was the youngest of the 4 Allison boys. He often didn't have appropriate clothing, warmth, running water, or enough food. Their mother abandoned them, so his 2 older sisters provided most of the nurturing. Their family was split apart, and all would eventually lose touch and not find one another again until after I was born. By the age of 14, the children's home where my dad was sent organized several weekend tryouts with potential families for my dad. But he was always sent back to the children's home because he wasn't a good fit, even at Christmas time. He read the newspaper daily and every book available to him. He got a paper route, earned enough money to get his own bike, and was rumored to be the first child in the children's home to do so. By the age of 18, he had been adopted, and his new parents insisted that his first and last name be changed so they could match the new family naming system. His adopted father, whom he grew very close with, died within a few years after the adoption. He graduated with excellent grades and test scores from high school. He was enrolled in college and within weeks was in a car accident, thrown through the windshield, and was in a coma for a period of time while his head injury healed. After recovering from the coma, he dropped out of college and joined the Air Force. After being honorably discharged from the Air Force, he married my mom, had 2 kids, was an incredible father, graduated from night school, and began to work full-time. As his life slowly became more stable, he had become an expert at overcoming challenges because he worked to find the possibilities in each situation he encountered, no matter how difficult and dark the circumstances. I often wondered how many of my students were in similar situations as my dad, or far worse, and needed the adults in their lives to help them see possibility when maybe they could not. His experience shaped my life, fueled my fire, and gave me purpose as an educator. My dad's story and his example has followed me throughout my teaching career. It made me want to be a part of something big and sweeping that would empower everyone who would come in contact with this something big thing. About 8 years ago, it happened. I saw the something big while at a site visit during an AVID ADL training. A school in Tampa, Florida explained that they used to be a school where no one wanted to work, where no one believed the kids could graduate, and had all but been given up on. The school changed because a few teachers and administrators saw possibilities where others had given up. They brought in AVID because they believed it would work and knew that something very different and very good was possible. They imagined, they believed, and they worked, and they worked, and they worked. And because they believed in the possibility of what could be, they built their big thing. Now, This is the school where everyone wants to work, where students believe their futures are full of possibility, and where others look to see how a group of educators turned what others saw as impossible into possible. Because of the lessons learned from my dad, I knew that even when things seemed huge and overwhelming and nearly impossible to change, they weren't actually impossible. Even though we already had AVID in Danville, Illinois, I now knew we could do so much better. I knew that if we could do something like this in our schools, the possibilities for our students, staff, and community would be endless. So I returned home, shared the stories of what I saw and what AVID was supposed to look like over and over and over, until more and more people saw new possibilities for our students. And that is when things started to slowly change, when a group of educators collectively believed in something different. Because of my dad's example and lessons, I had the courage to believe that something different was possible and to help others to do the same. So, we utilized support from AVID and we trained. We sent lots and lots and lots of staff to AVID Summer Institute and brought a path right to our own district. We modeled at staff meetings, at parent nights, and on in-service days. We insisted that our plans, goals, and evaluations align to the CCI because that is what's best for students. Slowly but surely, more and more staff saw the possibilities, believed in what could happen, and we began to grow. More students were benefiting and advocating for themselves, and the more that students benefited, the more staff saw the possibilities. We were on fire. And then, on a Friday the 13th, with a full moon and the time change, the pandemic hit. We could have screeched to a stop, let the fire die out, quit running, sat down, and waited for everything to pass. But we didn't. We strategized possibility. We studied. We learned and collaborated. We grew. And all the while, our district, other districts, and the worldwide AVID family never missed a beat. AVID knew what was possible during the pandemic and helped us to see it too. They gave us a place to turn when we weren't sure what to do next. We learned that not only could we meet the educational needs of students, we learned that it was possible to reimagine meeting the basic needs of our students. Food, SEL, and support services were made available to families and students in new ways, and in some cases, even better ways. Schools and districts became lifelines for many families. As educators, we did this in 48 hours with no playbook, no history to look back on, with constantly evolving guidelines, masking and spacing restrictions, as the world was rapidly changing, because as educators, we stayed focused on the kids and utilized our growth mindset to do what had never been done before, because we knew it was possible. AVID in its purest form is possibility. The possibility for students to navigate learning, carve out a path to their future, utilize their voice, build relationships, and to better the world around them. AVID provides possibility to educators and communities. Adults in AVID communities remember that students can do so much more than what they are given credit for. They know what it feels like to work on a team where everyone is guided by the same goals. They know that learning and persevering and challenging one another really can be fun and rewarding. Students, we are here for you. Every one of us is here because we know what's possible for you. We want you to know what's possible for you. So drink this in. All over the country, educators are attending AVID Summer Institute and DXP because they want to do what's best for you and for students like you. AVID family, now it's your turn. We're going to go ahead and pretend that my dad's here with us right now in the room to help us for a moment in the same way that he used to help me. Please close your eyes and imagine your students, your school, your district, your community. What do you see? Continue to imagine that for just a minute more. Now, keeping your eyes closed, imagine what is possible. What do you want to see? Imagine collaboration. Imagine hope. Imagine change. Imagine equity. Imagine your big thing. And know that without any doubt that what you are imagining is possible. AVID family, can you see it? Can you hear it? Can you feel it? In no uncertain terms, we just filled this room with endless amounts of possibility because we are AVID and that is what we do.